Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The second lectures in firearm injuries presented by Professor Dr. Iman Sulaiman. The same objectives mentioned before. What is the mechanism of firing? The mechanism of firing depend on the types of cartridge, and the product differ according to types of weapon. When we press here on the trigger, needle inside the barrel will hit the percussion cap, and this percussion cap carries mercury fulminate, potassium chlorate, and powdered glass. The friction between powdered glass in the presence of source of oxygen and in the presence of a highly inflammable substance such as mercury fulminate, it will initiate the spark, and this spark will ignite the powder, which may be smokeless powder in some cartridge or black powder in the other cartridge. And the ignition of any types of powder will produce a huge volume of gases, and this huge volume of gases will push all the content, will push the projectile, which may be shots or bullet. Here we found the huge volume of gases will push inward, shots outward. Here we found ignited powder will produce the huge volume of gases which push jacketed bullet. The mechanism of firing. On firing, needle hits the percussion cap, initiates the spark, ignites the powder, produce the huge volume of gases which push the projectile. Products of firing. After firing in non-rifled weapon, four items will produce: gases, powder, shots, wads. Gases consist of carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, hydrogen, hydrogen sulfide, methane, many types of gases. But these gases at a high temperature, and this high temperature will lead to burning of the skin at inlet. Also, carbon monoxide united with hemoglobin at the inlet and produce the carboxyhemoglobin, which lead to redness of the tissue. And also, we found these gases will present inside under the skin and subcutaneous tissue, and lead to bulge of the skin and subcutaneous tissue, and rebound of these gases will tear the skin and lead to everted edges of inlet and irregular edges of the inlet. So we found the effect of these gases at inlet in near firing. After firing, we found burned powder particle and unburned powder particle. Burned powder particle in the form of smoke, which lead to blackening of the skin surrounded the inlet. The blackening of the skin surrounded the inlet can be removed by cotton, because this is a smoke, this is a blackening. But in unburned powder particle, the particle will pass to the dermis and lead to tattooing, and this tattooing never be removed by a cotton. So unburned powder particle will lead to tattooing, and the burned powder particle will lead to blackening of the tissue or blackening of the skin surrounded the inlet. The shots is many in time, in numbers. It may be 100 shots in the same cartridge, and these shots will pass with each other up to 1 meter. After 1 meter or beyond 1 meter starts the partial dispersion. What is the meaning of partial dispersion? The partial dispersion means that central hole is present, surrounded by central big hole, surrounded by small opening from shots. after 4 meters in a non-shocked weapon, the dispersion, full dispersion occur at 4 meters in non-shocked, but in shocked weapon, the full dispersion occur at 6 meters. What is the meaning of shocking? The shocking means the muzzle is narrower than breech. This muzzle narrower than breech will push the shots with each other for a long distance. So in shocked weapon, the dispersion or full dispersion occur at 6 meters, but in non-shocked, the full dispersion occur at 4 meters. The inner waves penetrate the body up to 3 meters. After 3 meters, from 3 meters to 10 meters, the inner wave will lead to bruises surrounding the inlet, around the inlet, and fall beside the victim. But outer web is thin, weak than inner web, so it penetrates the body up to 1 meter. And from 1 meter to 3 meters, the outer web will hits the skin at inlet and lead to bruises and fall beside the victim. So at 1 meter, when we dissect the body, when we dissect the victim, we found inner web, outer web, and the shots, and the single opening. Because single opening, why single opening? Because shots is not dispersed. Shots pass with each other and pass the body from single opening. This is the shape of the product passed from the muzzle. Here we found inner web and shots. The product in rifled weapon never contain inner web, never contain outer web, never contain shots. So the product here in rifled weapon is bullet. Also gases and burned powder particle and unburned powder particle. So rifled weapon similar to non-rifle weapon in gases the same, in burned powder particle and unburned powder particle. So we found in rifled weapon, effect of gases may be redness of tissue, may be burn, may be tear in near firing. Also, we found blackening from burned powder particle and tattooing from unburned powder particle, and we found only single small opening from bullet. But these types of weapon is usually put inside this barrel greasy and waxy substances for cleaning. We use the greasy substance and waxy substance for cleaning of rifled weapon. This greasy substance will carries at the jacket of the bullet, so it pass with this bullet and lead to greasy ring at the inlet. What is the difference between black powder and smokeless powder? You remember that all the type revolver has a black powder, all the type revolver and some types of sporting gun. But smokeless powder is found in all rifled weapon except all the type revolver and some types of sporting gun. So the difference between black powder, the black powder consists of carbon, sulfur, potassium nitrate, and after ignition it will lead to alkaline in reaction due to formation of carbon, carbonate and bicarbonate. And this alkaline in reaction and this black powder which consists of carbon lead to dense black at the inlet. But smokeless powder contain nitrocellulose, nitroglycerin, mineral gel. After ignition, it will lead to neutral in reaction because formation of nitrates and nitrites, and at the skin of the inlet it leads to grayish coloration. But the shape of this black powder in the form of irregular clumps or powder, but this smokeless powder take different shape, such as different uniformed in shape, color, or size, and this shape differ. It may be in smokeless powder in the form of scale, gravel, or cordite. And in black powder, this is a clumps or powder. Okay, this black powder contain carbon, so this cotton is become black. And at the skin, when penetrate the body, bullet or shots with black powder, cartridge with black powder, it will be lead to dense black at the inlet. What is the characters of firearm injuries? The characters of firearm injuries includes loss of substance. It is very important. No exceptions for loss of substance. It means all tissue pass, all tissue absent. It never found this tissue. It depends on distance, size, and velocity of this projectile. Loss of substance is more in inlet than exit. Also, we found the two wounds, inlet and exit, in firearm injuries. And this is the second characters of firearm injuries, presence of inlet and exit. Except sometimes we found only one wound. If the bullet passed tangentially, it leads to wound simulate contused wound. But the difference between this contused wound and the firearm injuries, presence of greasy substance surrounded this wound, or presence of some minimal tattooing or some minimal blackening, or from history. All this means that the case is firearm wound. If we found the greasy substance or associates of the projectiles, it means firearm wound. But in firing, the bullet passed to the body and retained inside the body. And when we do X-ray, we found retained bullet inside the body and single wound. And this wound is the inlet of firearm. Also, we found single wound, apparently single wound in case of natural, if the bullet passed from natural orifice. The inlet is hidden here in the mouth, but the obvious is exit. Exit is obvious because the brain, the skull damage and the brain protruded, and this is exit is more obvious than hidden inlet. So we found only one wound if the bullet passed tangentially in far firing, and in hidden inlet in case of projectile pass from natural orifice. Also, more than one inlet found in non-rifled weapon if the dispersion occur before entering into the body. We found many inlet, many opening for these shots. But in transfixing bullet or through bullet, we found many inlet in the body, because this bullet passed to one limb, then exit, then pass to the another limb, then exit. This means many inlet and maybe many exit in transfixing or through bullet. Also, in ricocheting and the dynamized bullet, we found more than one inlet. Why we found more than one inlet, and what is the meaning of ricocheting, and what is the meaning of the dynamized bullet? Dynamized bullet means that we found a defect in the jacket of this bullet. When we found the defect of the jacket and this bullet become dynamized, if this bullet hits any surface, external or internal, it will be fragmented, and this fragment will pass from the defect of this bullet. But in ricocheting, what is the meaning of ricocheting? Ricocheting means that the bullet hits another surface, maybe internal or external. But here we found the bullet hits floor or any persons or any, and it changes the direction. So if this bullet it changes the direction and can and be if the bullet become ricocheting and hits another surface, and this bullet dum-dumized has a defect in the jacket, it will fragmented and pass to the bullet and pass to the body by many opening and pass to the body by many inlet. So if the shots if the non-rifled weapon dispersion occur before entered into the body, it will lead to many inlet. If the bullet if the bullet is transfixing bullet, it will lead to many inlet. If the bullet is dum-dumized and ricocheting, it leads to many opening, because dum-dum bullet has a defect in the jacket and ricocheting hits another surface before entering into the body. This is more than one exit is seen in non-rifled weapon if the dispersion of shots occur inside the body, not before entering into the body or outside the body. This dispersion starts inside the body, it leads to many exits, single inlet and many exits, because non-rifled weapon carries shots. A bullet hits a bone, such this. If this bullet hits a bone and lead to fragmentation of this bone and give this bone the power of this bullet, the bullet gives the power to this fragment. It will pass from the body by many exits. Dum-dum bullet means that there is a defect in the jacket of this bullet. So if the bullet pass from here and touch bone or tight tendon, it become fragmented and passes by many exits. Also, in transfixing bullet, if the bullet hits many parts, it lead to fragmentation of this part. It will lead to many inlet and many exit. If the bullet pass to limb, then exit, then pass to the other limb in the same body, it lead to more than one inlet and more than one exit. Tandem bullet means that two bullets pass to the body by single opening, because one is weak and the second is more strong bullet. It passed by single opening to the body, lead to one inlet, and inside the body it become weak and go by two exit. So inlet, single inlet and two exit. The last characters is the presence of the third characters is the presence of associates of the projectiles. These associates of the projectile, such as burning, blackening, tattooing around the inlet. This burning, blackening, tattooing may be found on the skin and clothes, but sometimes we found this absence of tattooing or absence of burning or blackening may be found in distance beyond their range, because this far-firing bullet, no presence of associates of the projectile. Also, if the bullet hits another person, the associates is present in the first inlet, not in the second. Also, if this associates hits clothes, so the examination of clothes is very important, even if this clothes is black, because forensic pathologist can be examined by X-ray dispersive analysis of scanning electron microscope to determine the element at the inlet. So the examination of clauses is very important. Absence of powder marks occurs in far firing, in bullet hits another person, if bullet hits another surface and become ricocheting, or if it hits closes before enter the skin. The fourth characters is beveling. What is the meaning of beveling? Beveling occurs in flat bone, such as skull, sternum, scapula, hip bone, and this depends on two layers, outer table and inner table. The bullet pass here, the outer table here is supported by inner table. So the opening at outer table is smaller than inner table. So the beveling occurs internally at inlet, but at exit, the inner table is supported by outer table. So the opening in inner table is smaller than in the inner table, smaller than at outer table, because outer table is not supported, because here we found the scalp. So beveling occur internally at inlet, externally at exit, such as this. Complete. Product of rifled weapon includes what? Products of rifled weapon include what? Gases such as carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, hydrogen sulfide. Also, burned powder particle which lead to smoke and blackening at the inlet, unburned powder particle which leads to tattooing at the inlet, also greasy substance, waxy substance, and bullet. What is the function of inner weight? Inner weight act as a piston, prevent the gases to pass between shots, prevent dispersion of these shots early, because the gases never reach between, and to pushing also act as a piston to push shots and outer weight. So the function of inner weight act as a piston, prevent gases to pass between shots and disperse these shots early. Thank you.